The kickoff is 1 o'clock on Sunday this weekend. Come join us then. We'll be going through all the review of the previous day's games and obviously going through Chelsea, Arsenal, and of course Manchester United, Everton.
Yeah, definitely. This was going to be one of the most fun episodes. I can feel it.
Right. Dreams do come true as a man sits in his living room and another one sits in part of his kitchen to record a preview for something that is big. This weekend, we're talking about the football, and there's a lot going on. Brian, you don't look happy.
I'm really, really not up for this, but let's do this anyway.
We've got some offers for you this weekend. There's some good offers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This might actually get you up for it. We're covering the Sunday games this week, and you can get Manchester United at 25-1 to beat Everton. And that's a £5 minimum deposit plus a £5 free bet if you should lose, which means that it's really technically a win-win situation for you. Winnings paid in free bets available for a limited time, 18 plus, further terms and conditions apply, £1 bet only. That's a good bet. And then this weekend, Coral are also launching something called #YourCall. It's also a feature on 5 Live, but let's not go into that. Your Call, and you can basically put together, and I think I've got it on my phone here, bets which then they make up the odds for.
How do you do that then? Because that's what people are going to want to know.
You literally can just tweet at Coral and use the hashtag #YourCall, and there you go. You get it.
That's decent, actually. I really actually like that.
They make up the odds. So this weekend, Brian and I on the live show and Statman Dave are going to be making up some of our own bets. And you can either bet along with us, because actually Dave's quite good at this sort of thing, or you can choose to make your own bets on #YourCall.
Dave is good at numbers and stuff, isn't he?
Well, Dave's good at numbers, but he also sort of does a lot of this kind of betting on individual things in the game. So it's well worth.
Yeah, he's a peculiar man.
Dave's unusual specimen, I think, is what most people call him.
Unconventional.
He's definitely unconventional. He does that to the system, like Dele Alli. At the same time, what I would also say is that when I was talking to Elliot the other day, we realised how many of our introductory offers came through. There were so many.
Yeah. Like Newcastle last week.
Newcastle to win, Liverpool to win against Arsenal, etc., etc. So it's pretty much nailed on that Manchester United are going to win this weekend.
To be fair, if Everton played the way they did against Spurs, they'll definitely win.
Yeah, definitely.
Fucking shite. Should we talk about that now? Like, just to get over with.
Sure, why not? Do you want to talk about Manchester United Everton first? Because that's the Sunday.
I mean, Man United, they struggled a bit against Stoke, so it's not a full-gone conclusion. But
great
I have to say, you'd still expect them to beat Everton, considering how poor Everton were. Then again, maybe they get a rollock in. It's hard to know the psychology. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Manchester United, I'm not sure the psychology is we've won 18 of our last 24 Premier League home games against Everton.
No, but the thing is, I've just remembered Wayne Rooney back at Old Trafford, isn't it? So okay. That's a storyline in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way.
So, like, it's the return of the prodigal son returns.
Wayne Rooney or Morgan Schneiderlin could become the 8th different player to score against Manchester United, having already played for them in the Premier League. The other ones are pretty big players, actually. You've got Hughes, Dublin, Ince, Gillespie, Berg, Campbell, Welbeck, Sessions. Brian's there moving all over the place. Brian's actually on a safari. He got his wish.
I just can't be asked to hold this camera. Sorry, mate.
He's actually breathless from holding a camera. Hold it together, Brian.
Lukaku playing Everton as well.
Yeah. I mean, it could go therefore the other way around.
It could work, but so you see what I'm thinking there?
Yeah.
Maybe a Lukaku and Rooney to score in this game. I wonder what that would be. That would be a good one.
Well, Lukaku's got 4 and 4.
#YourCall if you do want to tweet Coral on Twitter. But if you do sign up, make sure you use my sign up
offer, which is we've done the thing for it. It's down in the description. Don't take a look. I don't know. Manchester United were very impressive in the Champions League against Basel. Do
you say Basel or Ball?
I say Basel.
Basel.
Ball is. I don't know what Ball is, but it sounds like something you get from the Body Shop. We've got a lovely new Ball for you. Do you know what I mean?
It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I went in there once and there was this chunky girl, big chunky girl.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, because she looked at me and she was like, this always works really well on me. She had this like scrub or whatever. And I
Wow.
just I imagined it getting in every sort of nook and cranny. But then I realised, I thought, oh, you're telling me this because you think I need the same help.
You think
You're telling me this because I need every nook and cranny cleaned out.
You're telling me this out of sympathy rather than flirting, aren't you?
To be fair, I was about 3 stone heavier then than what I am now, so
Yeah.
fair play. Do you know, she was telling me I'm a fat fuck, and I definitely was.
Yeah.
So,
hey, look how much can change in just...
I wonder if she's lost 3 stone through walking since then. Probably not.
Intense walking.
Probably not. Do you know what I mean? Send
Yeah.
her on a football holiday.
See how well she copes in Dortmund. It was very cold in Dortmund. Do you remember it being quite cold?
It was cold, and I fucking loved it though, in a weird way. Something about that place just really.
It was a good
I just
place.
felt it was like a second home. I don't know. I just instantly felt at home.
Yeah, there was something about Dortmund I think was quite magical, but there wasn't anything magical about Dortmund on Wednesday night when Tottenham beat them at Wembley, and Tottenham play Swansea this weekend.
Oh, we haven't done the prediction for Man
sorry.
United.
That was such a good transition. You just want to shut the
Sorry,
hell up.
I just thought I'm going to take a massive shit right in your little segue.
Okay, never shit on someone's segue. It will unbalance it. I'm going to say Manchester United 3-1 at home against Everton. Bish bash bosh.
No, that's actually good. I'll say 2-1.
Okay, nice. But there was nothing romantic about Dortmund the other night at Wembley when they got beaten by Spurs, and Spurs did them good. Brian.
Sometimes I wonder, do you know that last I met in Dortmund, like, where is she? I wonder. No, because I was kind of hoping
that
she'd
sounds
track
so
us down.
creepy. That sounds so creepy.
I was
Where
hoping,
are you?
She was so fit. I was like, I hope she tracks us down. Do you know what I mean? But
but it turns
she
out
was
just trying to sell you body wash.
No, but she didn't support Dortmund. That was the tough bit about it. She supported the team at Augsburg.
Augsburg, yeah.
So maybe if there's anyone who's talented enough, who's a really good stalker out there, the blonde girl in the football holiday video, Augsburg fan, can you find that on Instagram or something like that? Because that would be just not for yourself, obviously.
Right.
This is going to it's going to end up like there's something about Mary where he finds her, realizes she's lovely, and then doesn't bother to tell me now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you end up somehow with your own semen in your hair.
Forward, it was in her hair. Forward her on. Do you know what I mean?
Good.
There's something about Augsburg coming soon to cinemas. Fuck's sake.
There's something about Mary.
I mean, she looked a bit like Cameron Diaz as well. I thought.
In that she had blonde hair. You look a bit like Cameron Diaz. In that I have eyes.
Would you like some jizz in your hair?
And no, there was something magical about Spurs the other night when they played against Dortmund at Wembley. And Harry Kane is on form. He's hit September, and wow, Brian. I mean, if Harry Kane continues this, then I think Swansea are really in trouble because they're not going to be able to guard, and I say guard, the big Englishman.
Is that who the game is? Yes.
Yeah, it's Spurs. Spursy.
When Spurs get warmed up, they really do fucking seem unstoppable, don't they? Like, they look so shit in August at times, but now, once Kane's on form, that's it, really. It's a write-off, isn't it?
And Spurs have never lost against Swansea in the Premier League, winning 10 of their 12 meetings.
Swansea looked okay against Newcastle, but you've got to fear for that defence because the zonal marking that they employed against us, we annihilated them at the back with that header. I mean, and if you do that, and that was against Jamal Lascelles, you know, if you do that against the Harry Kane, you've got no chance. So
Jamal Lascelles, to be fair to him, actually probably had one of the games of his life against Swansea, didn't he? He stopped a ball on the line and then also went down the other end and scored. And was actually quite solid.
I mean, we're getting into a whole different team here, but yeah, he's one of those players, and I don't know. It's been a while because I don't like most footballers.
Good.
Like we get offered a lot of footballers for the podcast. And
Many.
I actively say, unless they're like top draw, I'm not interested. I don't want to be a CD level footballer. But Jamal Lascelles is one of those players where I've taken him
Text and tell him
to heart a bit. I really want him to succeed, but he's a bit of an underdog because he has got flaws in his game, but he really seems to give a fuck about the team.
Benitez loves a ropey centre back and making the best of it.
We're all over the shop right now. Are we predicting the Spurs Swansea game?
Sure,
or are we
3-0. I think we pretty much got a conclusion there. Spurs Swansea, Spurs 3-0.
That goal Dortmund scored against them though, top corner, fucking top bins.
Top bins, that was, yeah. That one came straight from Tekkerstown. And you can catch me on the latest episode of the Wembley Cup, which is live now. Oh, sorry.
To be fair, it's in the contract that you have to promote it at some point, so get it over with.
It actually isn't in the contract because I wasn't a big enough YouTuber to need them to promote it. So there you go.
And I was big enough to be the only person to say, not fucking doing it, mate. And me and you are the only people involved who are literally doing no promo at all for this. So,
but for different reasons, and we will be there at the final with Mark Bright up in the commentary booth.
He's not up in the commentary.
He won't be up in. We contractually said, Mark, you're not allowed in the booth, and he said, please, Geordie, please let me in. And we said, Mark, no.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I'm pretty sure if he was allowed, he'd be right up there. Oh, I'd like it when he goes, oh, Geordie, what a game we've got today. It's like, he reminds us of, who's that fucking daft ginger fella who's on telly?
There's quite a few of those.
He did Bo Selector.
It
reminds us of when he does his Mel B voice. That's what it's like listening to Brady.
Most people would worry that if you slagged off an ex-footballer to this degree, it would come back around to bite you in some way. But we know that Mark Bright actively doesn't watch YouTube, so we're safe.
Do you know? No, but the thing is, and also he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck, and nor do I. So
it's locker room banter, and we're good football men, so that's all that matters. Spurs 3-0.
Spurs 4-0.
Exactly, and it was the romance, of course, that last weekend of Newcastle playing Swansea.
Is that every way through?
Yeah, that made Brian fall in love again, and also realised that he was correct about Newcastle and Rafa Benitez putting results together. And it will be important they can stay on the trail because they're playing Stoke City at home. Yes, St James's Park will be lit up at 3:00 on Saturday for a beautiful game of football. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, it's Stoke. Do you know what I mean? We've got to beat them. But that Choupo-Moting really looked a fucking handful against Man United. He's a big, strong, fairly quick lad who's really good at running in behind. We've got big, strong defenders, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to track him all the time. He makes some good runs. I was really impressed. I mean, I know it was one game, but he did really well. Stoke we've won 2 in a row, and in West Ham and Swansea are Stoke level, but maybe Stoke, but. Are we really going to win 3 in a row? I just have a hard time believing that. This is one of the ones where it's like, it's at home, so maybe, you'd expect us to do it. We're on a good run of form.
The last time you guys won 3 consecutive games was November 2014, when you guys won 5 in a row, and that was under Alan Pardew, showing how long ago
typical. That was very much the Alan Pardew era. Like, win 5 in a row, do enough to keep yourselves up from relegation, and then drop like a fucking stone, baby. Yeah. I'm going to go for a draw just because I don't feel like we can win 3 in a row. It's been 3 fucking years since it happened. Do you know what I mean?
Good point. Yeah. I'm going to say Newcastle win again, but they're going to have to score more. I think it's going to be 2-1. 2-1.
I'm going to say 1-1 because generally we're not very good going forward. We're okay. This is very strange. We're okay in defence. Like, we keep it tight. Rafa's got us set up really decently. And we're not the team who will ship 4, 5, 6 goals all the time like we used to in the
Absolutely
pods.
not. Yeah.
But we're just not. Going forward, Atsu, Hosselu, Marino, Richie, they're all
Same
okay.
names.
They're none of them are like match winners, like they regularly, but you're just relying on one of them to make a goal in each game. You can't count on, this guy's going to get 15 to 20 this season.
What did you think about? There's a few things to do with sort of managers of a certain clique. What did you think about Sam Allardyce saying that Benitez needs to pretty much shut up and get on with it, stop bitching and moaning about the transfers?
Well, that's ironic because I think Sam Allardyce might have the Premier League record for most transfers made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And also bitching and moaning.
Yeah, the man was the biggest sort of tinker man there was in terms of getting people in and out and whatever. Like, he was known for being a wheeler dealer. So
second to Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, but so for him to say you can't complain about that, well, it was what you based your whole career on, mate.
Yeah.
So he should shut.
Do you think he should get some body wash?
Well, no, but let's be honest though. Let's be honest. Sam Allardyce shouldn't even greedy fat. How about that, right? Have you won a Champions League winning medal? Honestly, one chance at success and he blew it. He shouldn't even be allowed on telly. The fat.
Ryan Jordison there commenting on the latest goings on in the Premier League. And of course, there's also Mark Hughes, who, when Jose Mourinho refused to shake his hand, or didn't refuse to, but missed it in a way. Mark Hughes
Did I say 1-1 Newcastle? I did.
Yeah. Mark Hughes hates that people don't shake his hand, and apparently was so angry post-game that instead of going to give his own team talk, he went into the away dressing room and tried to find Jose Mourinho.
What made me laugh was when Mourinho shook all of the Stoke staff's hand to make a point that he wasn't shaking his hand. But then what I love is Mark Hughes, in true YouTube fashion, looks at the camera and goes, "Are you getting this?
Yeah.
Are you getting how much of the team?" As if we're all supposed to go, "That's out of order." We're like as if we're supposed to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think.
What do you want me to do?
Mourinho was quite pointed about the fact that he was speaking about Manchester United being stuck in a previous era, and that and it was clearly an almost sort of pointed comment at all those, the old Manchester United guard who sometimes phone in matches, etc., etc. And
you mean the class of '92?
Well, maybe even before that as well. People like Mark Hughes and stuff like that who are sort of, part of the gang. Incy's not part of the gang. Incy's definitely not part of the gang.
He's one of the weirdest. Paul Ince and Stuart Pearce are the two most weird footballers you could ever meet, I think.
I quite liked Stuart Pearce when I met him, and I've never met Paul Ince, so...
Stuart Pearce, honestly.
He's an unusual guy. That's why they call him Psycho. Bournemouth play Brighton and Hove Albion
Martin
this
Keown, on the other hand, a lovely man. I'm really happy he's back. I had a chat with him, and it was like talking to God. Like when he sits and talks to you, he's very like, and he really,
Martin Keown is so sincere about everything in his life. If you said to Martin, "Do you want a beer?" he'd say, "I remember, Lawrence," and he always uses your name, doesn't he? He goes, Lawrence. I remember literally if I had back in the early 90s with Ray Parlour, and you know something? It was probably one of the most profound beers I think I've ever had. And you're like, "Do you want a Carling?"
I'd really like to say, "Are you sure that you feel comfortable promoting a rental car service?" And he'd go, "Brian,
that's so true.
I've always loved driving. I've loved
exactly,
he is like that.
When the offer came to me, I did think long and hard about it, and I thought, you've really got to sort your life out, Martin. And
I really wondered how much they paid him for that.
Probably quite a bit. Is it Europcar that he does?
I think it's one of the other ones. Anyway, Next next match.
I once had a very awkward interaction with Sol Campbell at a Europe Cup event. Sol Campbell got subbed in at the last minute.
That is so funny.
And I had to say to Sol,
Oh,
come
fucking
in.
hell. Gasman.
Right.
There. I literally I let him in, and he's literally saying about this crazy weather we're having, which, you know, is a normal thing for a Gasman. He's probably said it 1,000 times today already.
Already,
and
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, mate. I mean, 1 minute it's rain, the next minute it's sunny. It's mad, isn't it? He went, yeah. I think it's the government, personally. And I'm like, what? And he's like, the government are doing stuff up there, man. I think that they're
Right.
playing around with stuff too much. Me, like,
What do you reckon they're playing around with?
I
What was that?
mean,
What do
it's
you
just
think?
a weird thing to come out with, isn't it?
What do you think exactly the government could be playing around with? Or do you think it's possibly the hurricanes across the Atlantic? You know?
Well, that's the first thing I thought of, to be honest. But anyway, where were we?
Of course, it's the hurricanes.
Yeah, where were we?
Let's talk a little bit about Bournemouth versus Brighton and Hove Albion.
Do we have
Hove,
to?
Yeah. They're the Friday night game at 8 o'clock. Because
Brighton won the last match, Bournemouth lost theirs.
Bournemouth are not in great form, it's fair to say, as they've got a series of L's, whereas Brighton went loss, draw, win. So
Is it at Brighton?
it is at Bournemouth. It's at the
thing
Vitality
is,
Stadium.
Bournemouth looked like a bag of shite against Arsenal. Didn't even put up a fight as they went down. But they always seem to start. They start slow. Bournemouth, they're notorious for that. On this.
The problem is they also didn't finish well last season, as they've won just 5 of their 23 Premier League games in 2017.
That's fucking pathetic, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Mate, to be honest, I wouldn't claim to be an expert on either of these teams.
Right. 2-1 Brighton.
1-1. Moving on.
Bournemouth looked all over the place against Arsenal. 1-1's not a bad shout. I'm going to say 2-1 to Brighton.
If Bournemouth don't start getting points against teams like Brighton, though, with the way they rolled over against Arsenal, then they're absolutely fucked this season.
Crystal Palace versus Southampton is a good one. It's at 12:30 on Saturday, though, which is why we chose to do Sunday, because Saturday is not as compelling. Crystal Palace have won 2 of their last 16 Premier League matches against Southampton, although both victories have come in the last 4 meetings, both of them at Selhurst Park. So, with Crystal Palace hosting here, do you think they've got a chance, Brian, considering that now they have the mighty Roy Hodgson at the helm? Yes,
do you know
right.
what?
Paul Konchesky's on his way in.
One of the funniest things I've ever heard anyone say in the history of football was Alan Pardew's reaction to this on the debate on Sky Sports, where they basically just ripped off the idea of podcasts and went with it. Roy Hodgson will bring great energy to Crystal Palace. Have you seen the man? He looks half dead. He's fucking decaying right in front of my eyes. Rigor mortis is setting. What are you talking about, Pods?
Roy Hodgson is the kind of guy that brings a nice vibe to.
He was like, he's got great energy, and then he tried to caveat that for his age. I'm like, has he? The team had it down tools completely, yeah, and that's when you sack a manager, when the team stopped trying, and they hadn't stopped trying, I don't think. And those methods might have eventually paid off, but we'll never know now. The one thing we do know for a fact, in my opinion, is that Roy Hodgson is done.
Already?
He was a lot of people say, oh, well, he did well at Fulham and West Brom or whatever, and maybe this is a good kind of level of team for him to take over, but I don't rate the man at all. I mean, the mistakes he made as England manager were the most basic. I mean, like, a regular fella just sitting in the pub would have known not to do the things he did. So how on earth is he good enough to be a Premier League manager in 2017?
It's a very good point. yeah, I mean, it is tricky considering a lot of people sort of called him outmoded or outdated. They appreciated what he did for England, but he didn't take them far
I
enough.
definitely don't appreciate what he did for England for the money he got paid.
Good point.
Fucking sack of shit, to be honest with you. I kind of hope. Palace did really rip the piss out of Newcastle a while back, and when we were struggling to recover from Pardew, and now they're equally in the same position. So it is a little bit like justice for me watching them struggle now. But I wouldn't mind seeing them lose a few more into Hodgson and seeing Hodgson's reputation just get even more shit after what he did to England.
Hodgson is the first ever Premier League manager to be appointed in his 70s. But there have been two other Premier League managers that have managed into their 70s, and that's
Great energy.
Sir Alex Ferguson and a man who did actually have good
Sir
energy.
Bobby Robson.
Correct, yeah.
But, Sir Bobby, Sir Bobby was like always, like, Sir Bobby Robson could manage now and be absolutely fine. Like, he was an evolver, he moved through the time periods, and he always, like Fergie never got stuck in his ways. Like, some managers are just good at that. Hodgson is a fucking dinosaur.
He's definitely not as respected as the other older guys. You do sort of worry as well the portrayal of old men or older men in the league and whether it is respectful. But then he hasn't achieved enough.
If you watch an interview from Fergie or Bobby Robson, and you see the passion and enthusiasm and excitement they've got for the game at whatever age they're talking, it's infectious. When you watch an interview with Roy Hodgson, he is literally he sounds like an old man in an old people's home asking for a bath or a cup of tea. Like, that is exactly how he sounds.
But do you not think that this undermining of old people in this way undermines his status and therefore makes it more difficult for him to build a status? Or maybe he's not robust enough.
I mean, I'm using his age against him to
quite well.
Illustrate a point. But the point I'm making isn't that he's old. The point I'm making is that he's just shit. At any age, I don't rate him at all. I thought he was very, very lucky to ever get the Liverpool and England job. And
lucky to get the Liverpool job. I'll say that.
And the England job, he purely got because there was nobody else about, and it was one of them like, better just give it to Roy then. Do you know what I mean?
It's because
same
Big
reason
Sam
Gareth Southgate got it. Same reason Gareth Southgate got it with fucking virtually no success in his entire managerial career. Nobody else wants it.
What's your prediction for Crystal Palace Southampton?
I hope Southampton just smash the fuck out of Hodgson. So I'm going to say, to be fair, it wouldn't surprise me now, though, because the players have gotten divorced sacked so early, the scrutiny is now going to be on the players more than Hodgson. If Hodgson gets a few bad results, people will just say, the players don't care. So that might work in Hodgson's favour because they might try a lot harder in this game than what they have been. However, they've still got. I think that the problem is a lot deeper than this, and I think it's Sam Allardyce nearly turned it around, but there's a losing mentality that comes when you have an Alan Pardew as a manager that takes years to get rid of. It's taken Newcastle to this.
You all right, mate?
Brian got cut off.
My phone died, so I just have to bang the laptop up, innit?
Bang that laptop up. It's probably the electric man. It's the government.
4-0.
I reckon 2. Hodgson will try and lock it down. It'll be 2-1. Roy Hodgson do that thing where he goes, and everyone will meme it.
Honestly, do you know what? I hate people who get so far in life being so average. It really pisses me off.
I've got some stories about Roy Hodgson, not for the podcast. Huddersfield Town play Leicester City. Huddersfield started with 2 wins and then a draw.
Roy Hodgson is the man I'd least want to see naked in my life.
It's funny you say that, one of my stories. Anyway, let's talk about the romance of Huddersfield Town against Crystal Leicester City, who played one of the 3:00 kickoffs at the John Smith Stadium. More stadiums need to be named after beer companies. The John Smith Stadium just sounds good.
To be honest, beer companies need to start sponsoring this motherfucker right here, because I would love that.
Good So there's definitely space for that. With Huddersfield obviously starting so strongly and then dropping off so badly, and then now obviously they've got to go and play Leicester. Leicester find themselves with just one win in the last 4 games, and they've got an
Thing is,
average
though,
possession
again,
figure which is so far one of the lowest in the Premier League. It's actually the average lowest, 36.6%.
but I mean that's Leicester, but also they've had a couple of tough games, haven't they? Like Chelsea and Man United. So, and another thing is against Chelsea, I actually thought Leicester were decent, and sometimes when a team finishes the game strong, it's a symbol of what's to come in the next match. So
Good point.
I'm going to go for a Leicester win on this one. I thought they were okay against Chelsea. They just come up against a player like MORATA who's really difficult to deal with.
I think this one will be a draw. I'm going to go 1-1 between Huddersfield and Leicester.
I'm going to go 2-1 to Leicester.
2-1. Liverpool play Burnley this weekend at Anfield, 3 o'clock.
What the fuck happened against Sevilla? Apparently, Klopp had a mini meltdown.
I think there was a red card at the end, and Gomez got sent off, and then the manager refused to shake Jurgen's hand. I think, and Klopp said, "What did I do? What did I do?" And
I mean, we said about motivating the players after the Man City hammering in, and
it wasn't a great. I mean, it was actually a fantastic attacking display from Liverpool. Liverpool showed some really good attacking movement, but defensively, again, sort of showing up and couldn't close the game off. They had a penalty, could have scored it, and the red arrows were flying forward, but no.
I feel like
that
that is it's such a big mistake from them. As they didn't get Van Dijk, did they?
They tried a lot.
Yeah.
They tried hard.
I think that would have really helped a fuck ton because now they're really paying the price on them.
Coutinho also came back. Didn't look. He didn't have very long on the pitch, to be fair to him. But
does he look like he actually gives a fuck anymore?
He definitely looks like he cares and looks like he's got the vision. But I think the problem is now that a lot of people know he wants to leave. So there was a massive standing ovation when he first came on and a lot of encouragement. It sort of feels all a little bit false and empty right now, though. That's the main problem. Salah had a fantastic game. Mane also had a good game.
It's a bit like now for
Liverpool.
For Liverpool fans, it's like they've caught their girlfriend checking another man's crotch out. You know what I mean? They now deep down know he's not satisfied by them.
I guess in a way, yeah, it's not quite that because I imagine you can.
So what happens now is when he gets it, you know what I mean? He wants more.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, it was described as pinata football. It's really exciting. Everyone wants to go, but it doesn't. It's not quite as satisfying as you think it's going to be. Liverpool play Burnley, obviously, and Burnley have been leading Premier League matches for a combined 153 minutes this season. Only Chelsea have been in a winning position for longer, which basically shows they can get ahead and keep that lead. Actually, they've won 2, drawn 1, and lost 1, which is it's the pretty much matches Liverpool.
Yeah, I like Sean Dyche.
And by the way, Sadio Mane is obviously going to be missing from the Liverpool game this weekend, which could make it difficult because he was quite the outlet for Liverpool
He is instrumental.
He's karaoke.
But you've got good players coming in, haven't you? Yeah, Sturridge will be there. So
Sturridge will probably be there as well. And there's a few. I mean, Coutinho really could come back in the side and play in that position. So we'll see. And Salah, of course, looked like quite the player. I'm going to go Liverpool win, but I think it'll be close. I think Burnley will lead for quite a long time. Liverpool will come back. I think it'll be 2-1 Liverpool.
Agreed, mate. 2-1 Liverpool.
Roberto Firmino has had a hand in 9 goals in 11 Premier League appearances at Anfield this year.
A great signing by Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan, good old Brendan. But of course, the best has come out of him under Jurgen. We've already done Newcastle Stoke, so let's move down to Watford versus Man City. Now, this one's actually quite exciting. Man City thrashed Feyenoord just the other night. And
thrash Liverpool as well.
Thrash Liverpool. Will they thrash Watford, or will Marco Silva manage to pull off a famous draw at home against Man City? Even Brian's done on this one.
Watford, the thing is, it's one of them. Watford, yeah, they've looked really good this season, but like it's a different beast, Man City right now. They, with players who can just bang it in the top corner at any point, it's very, very hard to stop Man City. They've just got so much talent. It's ridiculous.
But Watford are inside the top four in the English top flight after the first four games. So, they've actually they've got 2 draws and 2 wins in their opening 4 games.
I'm going to go 3-1 City because I do think Watford are going to score and look good in the game at times. But when you look at City, Sane, so many, like Kevin De Bruyne for me is my favourite player to watch in the league when he's on.
Really?
Yeah, he's my kind of player. To me, he's got everything.
Interesting.
I think he's like we had at one point, like I don't know, Dennis Bergkamp. That we've had like a Paul Scholes. I think like Kevin De Bruyne is the next generation of that style of player who can sit between midfield and attack and just glue the whole team together.
I actually think Sergio Aguero is going to be the main man in this one. He's been involved in 7 goals in the previous 4 games against Watford for Man City. And when we plugged him last time, I think it's worth plugging him again. I think he's going to get a goal against City. So,
but would he do that without the glue? That is the question.
Are you accusing of him being on the glue?
3-1 Man City. Moving on.
I'm going to say 3-1 Man City. I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4-1 Man City with Aguero to score. Put your bets on. That's not advice. I'm just saying that's what I would do. West Brom versus West Ham, a battle of the Wests for you here, Brian.
Mate, I'm really. This has gone on forever. This hasn't it?
Yeah, but that's because we.
Can we just? West Ham have won the last game.
Yeah.
West Brom lost the last game, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say a continuation of that.
I think it's going to be the other way. I think that West Brom are going to win this one and be solid. As confident as West Ham are, they still looked awkward in their last game, and at times we're not playing good enough football.
To be fair, this is Tony Pulis definitely does better in games where the other team are expected to attack but aren't good enough to dominate them the way Man City would. So it does seem like it's a Tony Pulis type game, but I've already said it now. So West Ham 1-0. There you go. Take it or leave it.
Stick with your convictions, kid. And then the big game that we'll be covering on Sunday is Chelsea versus Arsenal, the final game for us to preview. Brian can go and have his bath. Come on now, Brian. Chelsea have got this one. Surely Chelsea have got this one.
I don't know. I mean, Chelsea did have weaknesses against Leicester and against Arsenal in the FA Cup at the end of last year.
But they've won their 5 previous home games against Arsenal after 16 attempts before where they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is the real test. Anyone can beat Bournemouth at home. Do you know what I mean? This is... Yeah, I think MORATA is just going to be far too much to handle for the Arsenal defence, and I also think I think Lacazette is really good, but with Hazard coming back now, and then Pedro and Willian also in there, to provide MORATA, that is going to be a sick combo this year. Like
Eden Hazard has scored he scored 3 in his last 4 Premier League games against Arsenal at home, and Chelsea have won just 9 times in 21 appearances.
I think the most important thing for Arsenal in this game is to not collapse if it starts to go wrong. A 2-1 defeat isn't the end of the world, even though they expect to win every game because, they're a good team. But I just think they have to start not collapsing. That is one of the main problems with Arsenal.
Yeah. And do you think that's going to happen? Do you think we'll see a collapse in this game?
It's always possible, isn't it? That's the only thing with them.
Right.
I'm going to say Chelsea win like 3-1.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Chelsea win 3-2. Just about. And because
this is just such a different game to that Bournemouth match. Like Bournemouth barely got out their own half. Now Arsenal are going to go from that to having player like the runs in behind really seem to cause that defense a lot of problems.
They definitely are problematic. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and Morata's very good at that. So I just think that's a recipe for disaster right now.
Agreed. So we're both going for a Chelsea win now. I'm going 3-2.
And another thing,
And
Koscielny
one more
is
thing. My wife loves you, but
Koscielny is. There's a lot of times where I see headers go in against Arsenal, and there's a myth that Koscielny's like one of the best centre backs in the world. But so often
it's not a myth.
I see him. So often I see Koscielny's a good defender, but I just don't think he's as good as what people think he is. And so often when he isn't tracking his man, he's out of place, and headers go in, and it's a lot of the time his man. And it wouldn't surprise me if we're seeing that happen this week.
Arsenal will play Chelsea this weekend at 1:30. You can join us, I think, from 1 o'clock.
Join us!
That game to watch the match, which is the 59th time that Arsene Wenger will have played Chelsea, making them the team that he's faced the most in his time with Arsenal.
We forgot to preview the kickoff at the start, so if you could just have like some words come up saying, the kickoff Saturday, Sunday, 1:30. Is it 1:30?
Yeah, but we can do that afterwards. Now, actually, just put it at the beginning. So give me a second. Yeah,
I forgot you could. I forgot you could do that.
You thought you could edit. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been good to have you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. If you like Coral or you like Brian, then there's a link in the description below, and we'll see you guys 1 o'clock on Sunday for the Arsenal.
1 on Sunday.
Yeah.
1. Thank you.
1.
Sunday. 1
p.m. UK time. See ya.